Yeah, I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and kidnapped in 41, brought to Moulton, Alabama at age 2, and given another name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, and I still have to use that name, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married a Childers. Now, I've been putting video up, and I'm sure way back in all the videos, I've made it times 5 a day, right on, and recently they've been cut down because of phone problems. And but anyway, I wanted to. Somebody suggested, or I think that's what they were suggesting, that maybe I would do something like a little short chapter or something. And I don't know that I'll be able to put it together that way, but I'm going to start out this way. And I know that I can't tie it all together and go back, so I'm just going to put up to in April Fool Day, I was almost killed in 1980, and it was horrifying. I shouldn't have walked away from it, really. And illegally taken across the state line to Huntsville, Alabama. And the woman that was murdered, she murdered her twins, and I was put there. She's a psychopath. And I was stuffed in her car in that condition. And anyway, I ended up working I'm living out a lot, working for the district attorney, Fred Simpson. And then after I worked for him, he was up for re-election. That's when John Lennon was shot and killed in November that year. The next job I had was working for Doyle Duke and Golden Triangle, and then I went to work for computer science there. And ended up that ended up going to DC and trying to also turn things over. And oddly enough, when I work for computer science, I go in, I work from 3 till at least I was getting a little money back, where I could halfway live and had an apartment. And well, that didn't last long. It lasted, I don't really know how long, 3 months. I was working, really, I'd go in I worked quite a few hours. It was doing Navy manuals. And I still wasn't that good at the computer because I went to computer school classes at Lockheed just before all that happened. And I was almost killed April Fool Day. But they weren't, so there wasn't that much time span before these computers working there. But they were really changed from what I'd learned. Now, let me put it that way. So anyway, I was working there doing Navy manuals, and lo and behold, I guess I'd worked there 3 months, and it was, yeah, because it was getting into the summer. And I'd walk to work and walk home at night sometimes in the dark, all that, that way. But anyway, uh, I went in that one day and I carried my dinner, and I had a watermelon. I love watermelons, homegrown, but anyway, watermelons. And I had a fourth or whatever wrapped up and went in, and I put and this woman and this man in the office started screaming at me, "Come in here, come in here." I thought, oh God, boy, this is crazy. They're yelling like, you know, weird. So I put the watermelon down, and they said, no, no, well, I put it down anyway. So I went in the office, and they were just acting almost like this FBI guy, man up here some years ago in FBI office at the POF building, but he was cutting up with me. It was about well, they're not my birth certificates, they're Peggy and Carl's, the twins that were murdered, and they gave me her name. And he was this FBI, when you can get him out behind, you can't get through to the FBI anymore. You have to, at least you can up here in the POF building. Anyway, he came out, and I was in there talking to him and telling him like he didn't know that I'd gotten the letter from the FBI back then in '79, ongoing investigation. But anyway, he sat there and talked to him on this little stool here, or a little bench, and it's outside the reception. And then, I mean, you're just locked in there, and then his office is on back here. So they're behind a wall. But anyway, I said, well, will you please, the birth certificates of the twins, I was trying to say they're marked like he didn't know. And he starts doing it, waving his hands and acting nuts like, I don't want to hear about this. I mean, he's yelling, I don't want to hear about birth certificates. Well, he wasn't really mean, but he was acting weird. I mean, somebody else would. I knew he was just doing it, but it's like a lot of the other stuff that's gone on. So anyway, I'm getting back to prior, back to Huntsville, and this was in 1982. Early, okay, it was summer then. Just had begun getting, probably early May, I would think. Okay, so he and she, and I'd never seen them before, called me in the office, and they're screaming like that, waving their hands like Fruit Loops or something. And I don't say that lightly because I don't like to refer to people in manner, so maybe I shouldn't. I'll just say Fruit Loop. I eat Fruit Loops. I loops every morning. Okay, so they were telling me, you didn't, on your resume, you didn't tell us something, and then you didn't. Well, first of all, I just stuck the resume through their door one day and they called me. So this is computer science, naval. By the way, there's another thing about the Navy up in D.C. And I laugh and it's been so painful. I mean, they hired me and I couldn't go to work because I didn't have any money or a place to stay. I went in and took their typing test, which was a long one, and I could still type good. And as far as I remember, I got the job, and I remember Burt Reynolds. They had a Burt Reynolds picture, a big one, sitting in the lobby. It's up down from the Pentagon, I believe. Pentagon, yeah. It's up a street on the other side. Anyway, now where was I? Back at computer science. So what they said was, well, you didn't put it on your resume. And she said, I know why they didn't, because there was somebody that was murdered in this. And this is where Jack, my friend who was saving my life, he was FBI and undercover for the Reporters paper. And I keep adding because people like to dismiss sometimes what I'm saying. And I've said nothing but the truth on here. But his cousin was Hank Hartsfield from Alabama, born in Alabama. And he was, head of the two shuttles, commander of the two shuttles, space shuttles that went up. So he wasn't a nobody, and neither was Jack. A very decent man. Where am I going with this, with Jack? My God. Now then, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay. Wow. Well, I don't know. He's a nice man. Maybe I just needed to. I was going to say something about him, though. Well, I can't remember. Oh, about being up in. Didn't have a place to stay up there, and I got hired by the naval. And Burt Reynolds' picture, they had Burt Reynolds' picture in there big. I didn't know, I still don't know why they had his picture there. People would know what I'm talking about, where the naval, just down from is that the Pentagon. Anyway, I don't know why I mentioned Jack there. But, well, anyway, they fired me right there on the spot. The man and woman did it, waving their hands and everything, told me to get out. Oh, I know what I was going to tell, because Jack knew about this, and Susan Boda, who had been University of Virginia, University of Alabama Extension Center near where I was working and lived. And she'd been professor of what was her? I've forgotten now. Anyway, she and Jack were friends, and he introduced her to me. And she and Jack, well, everybody knew that there was supposed to be a vacuum cleaner salesman. I don't know how he worked for computer science, but he did. Worked in the back, they said. But evidently he sold vacuum cleaners on the side, and he had killed a woman, and it was done in mind control patterns I've been talking about. And here I am working for the district attorney, so I don't know what connection they made to that I was working there. Maybe I'm undercover investigator or what they thought. So they told me that I couldn't even get my watermelon, that I was to get out right then. So I did. And anyway, the odd thing was, now that I am up in D.C. with no place to go, stay, really in bad shape, and computer science hires me up there. So I don't know what you do with some of it but laugh. They didn't hire me. It was through a temp agency, like when I worked for Ron Ziegler of the Watergate. A nice man, okay? Probably deep throat. So now then, where am I going with this? I was going to tell some things, and it gets kind of long, and I was really going to tell, at one point I was in D.C., and it was horrible being there and no money, and I was shut down, no place to call and get any help or anything, and very, very scary. Oh my God. I don't know. I was going to tell about walking out there. There's something else I was going to tell about up there, and I can't think about it. I probably won't even put this up. I'm going to relook at it, and I don't know if I can even pick up at this. That's going back in my memory and trying to. It was just a horrifying thing. I ended up walking out of no money and walking out trying to get back to Huntsville for what? Jack's there, but I mean, he doesn't help me out financially. He saved my life, but he didn't help me financially. So, well, that was the only place I knew to go because that had happened in Atlanta, and I didn't know I couldn't get in touch with my children. So anyway, it's kind of odd how many times I walked out of D.C. at night and hoped and prayed nobody would rape me or kill me. And I'd walk a long ways each time usually I had money to get out to, what they call it, the British fish and chips. But I can't remember. It was coming out Lee Highway, and that I ought to live on Lee Highway almost now. I have been. But anyway, I'm going back, and I'm kind of losing it here and trying to put it together. And I'm just going to leave it. If people want to watch it, I've told and I've prayed that this is going to be over, and I have my children and they're alive and everything, and one big, hell of a mess that's happened to me and mine. And Meghan Markle, by the way, for you that's kept up with me, is supposed to be having her babies anytime, and now that her baby, and she's going to have it at home. So this whole thing was contrived, and I'm going to piece it together. And no, I'm not going to try to explain it all. I've done it, and it's too much. I'm going to say the timeline goes back to 2009 and 2010. Maybe I shouldn't even. Even there's powers that be in on all this that I don't see how the American government, the CIA, or anyone on this planet could put it together. I really don't. So I won't even try that. I'm tired anyway, so don't know if I made a point right here, but I thought that, and I won't even pick up here because there's so many times so scary, and I just had it in my head like the song. There was a song years ago about you're like a the billy goat, or you're butting a wall. I can't remember the song. Well, I'm tired, and I'm in here, and the TV's been gone off. Something's wrong with it for about 3 or 4 days now, and I can't read. My eyesight's so bad. So I'm looking at the four walls and trying to walk out, and I can hardly walk anymore. So anyway, I'm about to go. Anyway, excuse me if I've taken somebody's time, but I don't know. Some of it's pretty hard. Oh, well, that was horrifying. Anyway, I'm going to stop. It's probably going off anyway.